The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we help thousands and hundreds and thousands of advisors and clients across the United States in the areas of life insurance, annuities, disability, long-term care, annuities, what did I forget, and life settlements. With all that being said, we have people rely on us because we are completely independent. We represent 30 different insurance companies. We provide unique solutions. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody has different needs, and every insurance company is different. Not only is every company different, not just in price, but in living benefits, in qualities, in cash accumulation. There's all kinds of differences with every policy. Even term policies can be different from company to company, whether you can convert it, whether it has other benefits to it. So it's not just, let me go on the internet and find a price. So that's why people reach out to us. Today I want to talk about the retirement paycheck. How do you replace your salary when your paycheck stops? So for most of us, for 30 or 40 years, you knew a paycheck was coming every week or every 2 weeks. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to retire. And suddenly you're responsible for creating your own paycheck. How do you do that? You know, you're earning money, you're paying bills. It's fairly simple. You save where you can. And now in retirement, you have to see, where's my money coming from to pay the next check? Now, it could be you could be relying on Social Security as part of your check. How long is Social Security going to last? We don't know. Supposedly, the government's going to run out of money in 6 years. If they keep going the way they're going without changes, that will happen. Now, do I think does it mean it comes to a halt? I don't think so. Do we go further in debt? You know, our debt numbers were up over $39 trillion in debt today. 39 trillion. I can't even count that high. And getting worse by the day, not only with our debt, but the interest on that debt is just growing, compounding. I'm going off topic, but at the end of the day, Social Security is a big element that's not being addressed. It's the big elephant in the room because that's one of the retirement vehicles we've all planned for. So that's part of it. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, maybe you're relying on that money. That's maybe another source of income. And if you have savings or you've done your own, 401k planning and IRA planning, you're relying on that money. So what you have to first do is calculate how much are your expenses every month. What does your lifestyle cost you? If it costs you, because you're used to bringing in $10,000 a month, all of a sudden your expenses don't go away. That's like the big myth. Oh, I don't need as much money in retirement. Well, it's not necessarily true. Your bills don't go away. As a matter of fact, they may be going up in price. You may be paying more for gas. You may be paying more for oil, as oil reached $100 a barrel this week. So inflation is a key factor. No matter how you look at it, prices go up rather readily. They don't come down so quickly. So you have to plan for that. You have to determine what expenses are essential and what's discretionary. How much guaranteed income do you already have? Your retirement number is not so much a number, but it's not so much how much you accumulate, but it's how much income you can produce in retirement, if that makes sense. So people always come to meetings and discussions and they say, well, I have $1 million. Is that enough to retire with? Well, I don't know. It could be, maybe not. It all depends on your expenses. So it all depends on your income. So you have to build what we call a retirement paycheck. So maybe Social Security is some sort of guaranteed income you could depend on. Maybe pensions. Certainly, one of the things you can do if you have money saved up is you can buy an annuity that will pay you for the rest of your life, which is guaranteed income. And you could structure it one of two ways. You can have it pay the rest of your life every month, every year, but you can also have it set up so there's an inflationary element into your own annuity payout. It's going to pay less in the early years, but much more later down the road. It's all done by percentage and by average. So that's part of it. The difference between what you're used to bringing in, let's say a couple needs $8,000 a month, and maybe your pensions and Social Security provide $5,500, then there's a $2,500 per month retirement gap. That's the gap you have to come up with. So that's much easier to explain and understand that, okay, I have a $2,500 gap. Where's that coming from? Now, you may have savings, you may have retirement, you may have this, you may have that. I call them retirement buckets. So let's say I'm going to take money from my 401k. Well, is that bucket taxable to you? Yes. Is it tax-free to you? Maybe not. So many of the retirement buckets we're setting up are all taxable. Now, it's okay to take that money. It's meant for retirement. But if you take too much of it at once, you not only are you going to be in the same bracket or higher, and your Social Security will probably be taxed as well, but it will also affect your cost of what they call IRMA, which is your earnings against what you have to pay for Part B Medicare. So they end up taking out more money. So these are all little things that you have to prepare for when you retire or when that paycheck stops. So what happens, you have to ask, or a good advisor is going to go over to, if you live to age 95? Are you going to have enough income to last till 95? Are you prepared for inflation? How much is that $8,000 going to cost 20 years from now? How about market risk? What if the market all of a sudden, like it did this week, starts tanking, and you're heavily invested in the market? Are you prepared for a drop right before you retire or in retirement? If you have a 25% drop, are you able to sustain it and maintain? And I mentioned it before, but there's two other factors you have to consider. Taxes, number one, and health care and long-term care. Now, health care is quite the thing. And we have this system of Medicare, and many of you bought supplements and Medicare and all that. But if you run into some medical situations, you're going to be getting bills nonstop. And some of them you should pay, some you shouldn't. It's quite a cost. And then long-term care, which is something we frequently talk about. is what if you need care outside of your health? Meaning you need help bathing, you need help dressing, you need help transporting. That's called long-term care. Your Medicare and your health plans are not going to pay for that. They tell you right when you get them out, we don't pay for that. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success, and we'll be right back after a break. I'm Neil Himmelstein. Best way to reach me is 631-647-4694. That's 631-647-4694. If you miss an episode, you can always catch me on YouTube at the Main Street Code or Apple or Spotify. Thank you, and we'll be right back. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. If you're just tuning in, before the break, we were talking about what if your retirement paycheck stops? And then all of a sudden, you retire and you don't have a regular paycheck. How am I going to make up that income back? Where am I going to get it from? So, let's give you an example of somebody. Okay, let's say you had $100,000 a bank, $700,000 in an IRA, and $300,000 in a brokerage account. Where should your retirement paycheck come from first? So, you can take out your 401ks and IRAs, like I said. You can do all kinds of things, but the main thing you have to think about is tax diversification. You know, a lot of people talk, including myself, about asset diversification, not putting all your eggs in one basket, diversifying where your money is. But the thing you have to think about in retirement is something called tax diversification. And even pre-retirement, we can help you, guide you as to having different, what I call retirement buckets. And the different buckets are what's coming into me that's taxable, what's coming into me is tax-free, and how is that money going to affect my bottom line when I need to pay my bills? How is that going to affect me if all I have is IRA money and no savings in the bank? How is that going to affect my bottom line? And am I going to have longevity risk? Am I going to be able to last till 95 if I'm taking out all taxable money now and leave it behind? So, when we're looking at this different income, one of the things I always consider is how much of that income is guaranteed to you. Big question. So pensions and annuities could be guaranteed, but how much of your lifestyle is that, food, clothing, all that? How much more do you need? And one of the ways you can do it, like I said before in the program, is you could buy an annuity to make up the difference with some of those, let's say, non-qualified funds, savings, or you could buy it with your IRA to create an income stream that you can't outlive, that is going to come in every single month. My dad, who was a veterinarian, who, if he was still alive today, would be, let's see, he was born 1917, so he'd almost be 100. He'll be 109 this year. So he passed away when he was 89. So I can't believe it's 20 years. I remember yesterday. My dad, over his lifespan, loved the stock market. From the 1920s, he was investing in the market. He did it right. He didn't make a ton of money back then, but he always invested, and he always bought and hold. He was a very disciplined investor. But the one thing he loved in retirement, the one investment he loved more than anything, and we positioned it to him with just a small part of his assets, was he was given money, actually some stock or something. He was given some money from a mutual company. It was an insurance company. And he says, what do I do with this money? Why don't we buy an annuity with it? My father said to us, I have 4 brothers, that's the best investment I ever made. He says, every month, I don't look at it, in my paycheck, it's in there. I don't think about it. he would ask us for 10 years, well, when does his money stop? It doesn't. It just became part of his income. It was like, this is the best investment ever. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. I know it comes in every month. It comes right in my checking account. I use it to pay my bills, whatever it is. It's just there. When does it stop? Never, Dad. I remember him asking, when does it stop? It doesn't. You know, what a great investment. This is the best one ever. I don't have to think about it. It's guaranteed. It comes in every single month. So, retirement isn't about accumulating the biggest pile of money you can. It's about turning what you accumulated into an income stream that allows you to live your life in the life you like to live. Knowing what you have every month and knowing what you need is what I call setting yourself for a retirement paycheck for the rest of your life. Isn't that a great thing? Now, we do have to account for all those things we talked about. So, first thing you do is, let's see what my expenses are. Let's see how I want to live. And don't make rash decisions, but you're getting ready to retire or you have retired. But even, let's say, 5 years before you retire, how are you going to figure this out? So this is how you do it. So the goal is to retire with confidence and know that your next paycheck is going to be there, knowing that you have the income, and knowing that you can survive. Now, knowing all that, let's talk about healthcare risks a little more detailed. You've heard it over and over again from me, and I hate to sound the alarm bells, but the alarm bells are dramatic. The figures are over 70% will need some sort of long-term care. That's care outside of your health insurance. These are what the numbers are. It's just, why? Because medical science has figured out a way to keep us alive indefinitely. It was never thought of that, everybody I know, or a lot of people I know, including my own relatives, some of them have lived past 100. We never thought about this 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But it's more common today than ever that we're living past 100 years old. As a matter of fact, insurance companies, life insurance companies, adjusted their products to go to age 120. There used to be, when you had a life insurance product, which is why you have to renew what you have. If you bought a product 30 years ago, the most it would go to, when I started in this industry, was 95. Maybe it would go to 100. Then they changed it to 100. Now, for the last 20 years, they've changed it to 120. They're thinking, we think you could go to 120. We don't know, but, that's, the odds are there's more 100-year-olds and more living longer than ever. The quality of life and the cost associated with it is the scary thing. If I need somebody to help me in my home, or God forbid I have to go to a nursing home, there's a big cost. It could be a fixed cost to have somebody in your home to help you clean, help you cook, help you do the lawn, or any other things. Maybe help you get out of bed. Maybe help you go to the bathroom. This is very real. These are what we call activities of daily living that become increasingly harder. And the most difficult thing that people don't account for, they think, I'll just croak one day. It doesn't happen that way. I hate to say it. It doesn't happen where we just, we go to sleep that night. Yeah, that's everybody's, I'll never go to that bad place. Then you might have to. The cost today on Long Island, on average, are about $500 a day. Nobody ever thought, wow, inflation has caught up, and even more. That's over $15,000 a month if you need to stay in a facility. And if you need to bring somebody into your home to help you, it could easily cost $10,000 a month. Where's that money going to come from? Where is that in your paycheck? It isn't. So we address that by trying to get you some sort of long-term care policy and legal planning. Combination. You need these things to help you with your retirement paycheck. You've been listening to the Main Street Code. I can't believe we're out of time. This is Neil Himmelstein. Best way to reach me is 631-647-4694. Thank you for listening. Listen, I encourage you to ask questions and comments. Please give me a call, 631-647-4694. If you'd like to come meet with me, no, I do complimentary appointments for everybody. I make my income from commissions, mostly from insurance companies. So there's no charge if you come in and discuss your situation. Thank you. Have a great day.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.